today is lesson 4.6. Remember, your homework, the one is going to be a grade on Edpuzzle, whether you did it. Your other homework was 1 through 7. Remember what I said in class? Do that last night because it's going to add on today's homework. So, if you did not do 1 through, you don't want to turn in because you want that worksheet because you're going to use the worksheet today. Okay. All right, let's start with our warm-up. Once again, we're like the 13th day we are talking about slope. So we need to understand slope. You guys are going to take a pop quiz today.
Oh, yeah.
So pay close attention. I'm going to give it to you at the end of class, and you have only today to turn it in. So if you cannot get it done, it shows that you did not know the material well enough. I will give you time. Okay? Quick up. All right. Find the slope of the line. How do I find the slope if there's a graph picture?
You pick 2 points.
Good. We make 2 points. And if I'm looking at this, I found right here, this is an easy one. It is -3, +1. Now, I'm going to follow my line down until I find another point. Like, is this a good point to go to?
Nope.
No, it's -2 and between 0 and 1, but I don't know where. So I keep scrolling down until I find an easy one, which, there's one. Then, the most important thing is we know slope is our rise all over our run. And so we look left to right. I'm going to use orange short. Left to right, here is point 1. So I'm going to look at my rise. Well, I'm going down. So if we go down, we know my slope is going to be a negative. And I'm going to go down 1, 2. Now I'm on the same line. So I went down 2. I'm going to go over. I'm going to run. I'm running to the right, so it's a positive. 1, 2, 3. The slope for the first one was -2/3. If I needed to, I could have also said this point was 0. Whoops, I need to write it. 0, -1. Remember, this is also my y-intercept. Everyone see that? It's crossing my y-axis. If I wanted to, I could have done -1. This is x2, y2, and I know it's the second one because I'm looking left to right. It's my second point I've graphed. This is my x1 and y1. So y2 was -1. x2 was 0. You subtract, y1 was 1, and x was -3. When you solve that, 1 minus 1 is -2. 0 minus -3, well, that's like adding a positive. 0 plus 3 is 3. We would have got the same answer. So you could do it either way to find slope. Let's do number 2 now. If I look for the point, someone tell me a coordinate. What is one of the coordinates that we know on graph 2? Sydney? Okay, so I hear 2 and 1.
Oh, yeah, no, not either one.
Positive 1. So, 2, 1. And what would be another one that matches up? Donovan?
-3.
-3.
0 down.
Oh, so how would I say this? Do you want this one?
Yeah.
What's the coordinate for it?
0, yeah,
0, -3. Remember, all of our coordinates always go the x coordinate, then the y. 0, -3. All right. You have that. What is my slope? Let's do it together. Rise over run. And which one do you think, if I look left to right, is 0, -3, or 2, 1, the first point I come to if I look at my graph going left to right?
Yes.
0, negative 3. I come across left. That's the first point I'm going to hit between these two. So, start there. What is my rise of my slope? 1, 2, 3, 4. We went up 4, and it's a positive 4 because I went up 4. What is my run? 2. 1, 2. My slope is, does that simplify any? Yeah, you can simplify to 2. 4 is larger than 2. It's an improper fraction. 2 goes into 4 evenly. My slope is 2. If you would write 2 over 1, I would accept that as just as much. But we always want to simplify. Just to show you, if I would have started with 0, 3, and I worked my way up this line and said, here's a point. If I went to that first point, now this becomes 1, negative 1. This, since these are the first two, this would have been 1, 2, 1. It would have been my simplified version. If you want to make sure you don't have to simplify, follow your line up to the very next point that we know for sure. Okay? What do we know about the y-intercept? Haley, what do you know? You what?
I was thinking about it, but I think I read it.
That's okay. What do you think?
And it crosses the y-axis.
That's right. Crosses y-axis. I should know about 2 other things I can make a statement about. Donovan?
It is crossing through the x-axis, and then it is also.
Well, it doesn't cross through our... Well, it will cross through, but it's not crossing through the x-axis. When I look just for the y-intercept, we're going to cross at the x-axis. There's one other thing that you really should be able to tell me about it. Anyone know what it is? The coordinate x will equal what?
0.
Always will equal 0. So when I list the coordinates, 0 is my x, no matter what. Because remember, x coordinate tells us how far left or right of the y-axis we go. Well, if it's crossing the y-axis, it's 0. It will not leave that. Okay, our goal today is I can write equations of lines in slope-intercept form. I believe we can do this. In our lesson, example 1. Remember, go back to this if you have questions for today's homework. It says, write an equation slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the given points. So they want us to write one that goes through these 2 points. Okay? First step, and I'm going to write this over here. You should be writing this with me. I'm going to write step 1, even though they kind of put it over here. I'm going to do mine a little different.
Is there not a day 13 exploration?
What?
Is there not a day 13 exploration?
We did that yesterday.
This is day 12.
Yeah. Day 12, x 4.6 exploration. Day 13. Today's the next day. Alright, step 1, we want to identify the slope of our line. So the first thing we have to do is identify that slope. What is the slope of our line? What is the slope of that line on A? Yeah. Well, say it again. Good. So our slope is going to be negative 3 over 2. Remember, we got that by looking here. This is our first point. And I do rise. I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3. So negative 3. And we went over 2. 1, 2. If you look here, They went ahead and they used the coordinates to find their slope. And that's okay. So the first thing is we have to find the slope. The next thing I want to do is I want to identify my y-intercept. If we look at this graph, do we know what the y-intercept is? Where does the line cross the y-axis? It crosses at 0, 5. So what is, I'm going to erase this so we don't mess this part up. If it crossed at 0, 5, it's crossing right here. What is that y-intercept?
0. No, 5.
It's 5. It's crossing the y-axis when y is 5. And remember, our symbol for y-intercept is the B. And then my third and final step is to write in slope intercept form. Bless you. Our slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You should have that memorized. We said it numerous times. Go quick. Alright. Y equals mx plus b. This part right here is what we are going to change. The only thing we are going to change in this equation is what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. So when I write this line, I'm going to say y equals, what was our slope of this line? Negative 3, 2. Our x stays with it. What was my y-intercept?
5.
Positive 5 plus 5. That is our line. If I type this in, or if I give this to any mathematician and say, graph y equals negative 3, 2x plus 5, they will get this exact line right here. It will look exactly the same. It will go through points 0, 5 and 2, 2. And the reason we know that is we have the slope correct, so the steepness is there, and we told it what y-intercept to cross. So, if you have one today where you have the graph, you are going to have to do that. We're going to look at another one we're going to have. Well, what if instead of the graph, they give us this chart? The first thing we have to do is still our 2 steps. Slope and y-intercept. I could, in reality, go ahead and graph this, because they tell me my points. They tell me one coordinate is 0, negative 3, so I'd say I could plot 0, negative 3. I could go plot 3, 2. Or if I go to find the slope, remember slope, y2 minus y1. It's always our y over our change in y over our change in x. So what is one of the points for y? What's y2? What could y2 be?
Oh, no.
What would be one of our points up here?
Or y?
Yeah. Sure. Let's use this one. So I'm going to say negative 3, and my x was 0. Oh, I made that 0 really big for some reason. Okay. And then I need another coordinate point. What's one of the other ones?
2. 3, 2.
Sure, we can use the very next one. Do we have to use this one?
No.
No, to be honest, I could use any of them, and when they simplify, they'll come out the same answer. So then my other one is minus, let's see, y was 2, and x was 3. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. 3 minus negative 3 is negative 3. And what's a negative divided by a negative? A positive. So this, I'm going to show my work here, becomes just positive 5/3. That's my slope. Okay? I need it now, so that's step 1. We found the slope. Step 2, I want to know what the y-intercept is. Look at this graph here. Remember, this is coordinate points listed, right? This is like 0, negative 3, 3, 2, 6, 7, 9, 12. On our warm-up, what did we say we know about the y-intercept? Crosses the y-intercept, or crosses the y-axis, and what else? X equals 0. Do we have x equals 0 up there?
Yes, we have.
Okay. So when I look at this one, x was 0, y was negative 3. This is the coordinate for my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is negative 3. We know those two. So slope is 5/3, y-intercept is 3. Now we have to write our equation. Y equals mx plus b. Remember? This and this stays the same. So I would say y equals, what was my slope? 5/3. X stays. What was my y-intercept? Minus 3. And that's all we have to do. Okay, I want you to turn with a partner right now, and I want you to work on number 1 and 2. On each one, I need to know the slope, and I need to know the y-intercept. Okay. All right, we're going to go over these two, and then I'm going to let you have more work time. So, on number 1, what is our slope? Kate? Yeah. Oh, hold on. Other people, you need to follow on so you know how you're doing it. Our slope is 2. I went 1, 2 up. So my rise was 2. And I went 1 to the right. So you can say 2, 1, or 2. In real math, they're just going to say your slope is 2. What is my y-intercept? Where does my line cross the y-axis, Sydney? It crosses here at 0, 2. So what is my y? Yeah, it's just a 2. It's this part of my coordinates. It is 2. We rewrite our equation. Y equals, my slope was 2, x, my y-intercept is 2, plus 2. That is your answer. We go to number 2. Okay, what is my slope?
203.
No. I see your mistake though. Tell me, how did you get 2 over 3? How did you get your rise?
I did 3 minus 1 and negative.
Did you use these two? You used this one and this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Remember, to find it, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right?
Yeah.
So we use the 3. 3
Oh, you gotta add.
minus,
Oh, no.
and this one's a negative 1. And then we had negative 3 minus, and it was a 0. So 3 minus negative 1 is positive. So you just forgot that negative sign with it, right?
Yep.
So that's 4 over, and what's negative 3 minus 0?
Negative 3.
It's negative 3. Remember, I have negative 3 and I don't take anything away. My slope is 4, negative 3, or I can just say negative 4/3. To be honest, you can put your negative sign anywhere you want. I could say negative 4 over 3, I could say negative 4/3, or I could say 4 over negative 3. It will come out the same. What is my y-intercept?
I got negative 1.
How'd you get negative 1?
Because on one of them, x equals 0, so that's your y-intercept.
Perfect. X was 0, so this 0, negative 1 is the coordinate to your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is negative 1. We rewrite our equation. Y equals negative 4/3 x minus 1. Okay, we got negative 1 because remember, our y-intercept, we always know when we graph our y-intercept, your x-coordinate will be 0. Has to be. So when we look at this, they told me x was 0 here, so this had to be that coordinate that matched up.
But if there was no 0 in that x, would it be?
If there wasn't, we'd have to put a 0 in, and we're going to solve with this one. So, that's a really good question, because listen, Kate asked, what if I didn't see a 0? That's going to be advanced, that's going to be what we're going to get to. But I would solve this equation. I'd put in coordinates I did know. So I'd say like y was 3. I'd say 3 equals negative 4/3 times negative 3 plus b. And then we'd solve for b. And whatever you get is your y-intercept. We're not going to worry on that part quite yet. You're going to head me. All right. Here's you guys' assignment. Two things. I am going to give you your quiz. Your homework for tomorrow. 1 through 7 on your worksheet, which is what you did yesterday. So if you did that, you're already almost done with your homework.
Let's go.
You're then going to do numbers 8 and 9 and number 11 through 20. Okay?